Start with Your Why by Simon Sinek. Man, we started with Man's Search for Meaning, where we find our why. And this takes it to the next level and applies it not just to yourself, but in a leadership position to those who you work with or those who you're around in life. And Simon Sinek is a TED Talk speaker. He's an author. He's an optimist, and he's a leader, right? And he's taken a further approach to help you in your everyday life influence people around you. And normally I read a lot of excerpts in this first and second video, between the two. In this video, I'm only going to read one. The next video, I'll read some more. But I want to spend more time talking about a certain point, a couple points. So I don't want to spend too much time on the excerpts. So to start it off, it's gonna be on page 60, and it says, Henry Ford summed it up best. If I had asked people what they wanted, he said, they would have said a faster horse. Kind of eye-opening, right? Think back when he was starting to build cars. If he would have asked people what they wanted, they would have wanted a faster horse. Sometimes people don't fully understand what they really want. They don't look at the why. They want to go faster, but they're so caught up in horses and having a faster horse or maybe a different saddle. They're not thinking bigger picture to solve or to answer the question to their why, because they're not asking it themselves. So where I'm getting at it with this is what I really want to talk about is with my channel, my goal is to help each and every one of you become better people. And to do that, I showcase physical feats, different mental challenges, or maybe I'm giving you lessons or talks. And that's the why. The why is I'm trying to share things I've learned to help you become better people. And there was a comment on another book review video I did. And I say book review. These videos, like I said, the why is I'm trying to teach people lessons to hopefully make them into better people from things I've learned that I would have wanted someone to tell me. So when I'm reading a book, I'm reading the book for me, right? I'm trying to become a better person, and I chose to do these videos because I know there's people out there who are not going to read all these books. So if I can share information that I've learned and it's opened my eyes to, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm not doing these videos with books to give you a book report. I'm not here to read the book to you, give you a summary, what's the plot, a turning point, who the main characters are, right? I'm not here to do any of that. I'm here to teach you lessons, or maybe spin off of a point that they said to teach you something in a way I thought of it. It's like a piece of art. If you saw a painting of the sky and you said, wow, those clouds look like birds. And then someone else comes up and says, no, it doesn't. That's a cloud, right? You have to understand the why of why you're looking at it. If you're going to an art gallery, the why is that deeper meaning of what it makes you feel or what you see. So with any of my videos, the whole purpose is to hopefully make you a better person or show you something in a different perspective that you have not thought of. And the reason I'm saying that is because there was a comment that gave no bad comment. It was just a comment that said they gave an example, and the example was that if you someone who wears a suit over their life would become known as a suit wearer, right? That's how you become known. And then on the other side, you're not going to be known as a drug dealer. And I kind of wanted to spin off that point because this channel is all about growth. And I think that's a big problem that people have that stops them from growing is that they don't look at the why. They look at the what. So this is going to tie in with man's search for meaning and start with your why with this point. And it's because even in that example, why are we so prone to judging people off of what we see? If you see someone in a suit, why does that make you think whatever you think of them? If you think of them as a scholar, if you think of them as a rich person, maybe you're the one who thinks of them as a drug dealer if they're in a suit. Why do you think that? Why? Because our minds play tons of scenarios in our head, right? Why are you letting that dictate how you think of someone? Unless it's a positive thing. If you're thinking, hey, that person must be doing something good, that's perfectly fine because any positive thinking in my head is good. But what I'm trying to get at is the danger of it is, let's say, well, let's use it. Let's say for a homeless person, if you see a homeless person, let's say that carries over to them. We look at the what. The what would be they're homeless. But how often do we look into the why? We're so quick. I'm not saying we, I'm just saying people are so sometimes too quickly to judge them based on their circumstance without looking at the why. Instead of thinking, hey, did they just lose their job? Maybe they're not homeless. You see, even I said the homeless person. What if you see them begging for money? What if they have an apartment and a job? They're in nice clothes, but they ran short on money. Did we ever go and ask them what their situation is, or did we just assume? Did we just look at them and assume, hey, they're homeless and now they're just begging for money? What if they're not and they just needed a little bit of extra cash? What if they are homeless? Right? Look at what's the reason they became homeless? Maybe they lost their job. Maybe they have some mental health issue. Right? There's so many things to why. And I just wanted to hit this point home. Who knows what the person commenting meant, but it's just a good lesson because that type of attitude towards or response, like just that example, it's anti-growth because that mindset alone, it's going to hinder you when you're dealing with people. So not only with that homeless example, but it can apply to anything. Let's say you saw a kid with, I don't know why you'd see it, but let's say let's say they were getting a spanking, and you think, wow, that kid must be a bad kid, right? They must have did something wrong. Well, what if it was the parents who were being abusive, right? So maybe that example you wouldn't think that. Let's say, or let's say someone's acting up out in public. Maybe they're freaking out, whether it's the so-called Karens, or maybe it's a kid acting up, anyone acting up. What's your first response going to be? Is it going to be a negative? Hey, why is that person acting up? Why are they being so complaining? Why are they being so aggressive right now? Maybe you're dealing with them. Or are you going to think of why are they acting like that? And maybe what's going on where you could try and help them. There's a good example I heard from Jocko Willink, and it was him in the situation. I'm just going to say random people. I'm just going to say A and B person because I'm probably going to butcher the story. So I'm not going to use him. But the point of the story was there was a Navy SEAL, so a highly regarded member of the military, right? And he meets with, and this is just the butchered version of it, highly trained military personnel meets with the highly ranked, let's just say ranked executive, and the executive was really young and he had a lot of money, right? So it's kind of like that business, kind of if you look at white collar, top of the food chain, and then you could say blue collar, military, physical strength, going on missions, top of the food chain. And there's this kind of unspoken feud between them when there never really was a feud. And the thing was, the one thought the other had a problem with them, and then the other person thought they were having a problem with them because that's what they were assuming. The Navy SEAL was going, "Hey, this young guy, he's done accomplished all these things, and he's only 20 something." And the other guy was thinking, "Wow, this guy's a Navy SEAL. He has this podcast, he has this book, or whatever the case is." And the whole point, the whole lesson of the moral of the story is, well, first let me say, the Navy SEAL ended up just communicating and saying, "Hey, I forget what he said, but let's just say he says, 'Hey, I respect what you did. Really look up to you. That's awesome you did that.'" And basically opened up to say, "Hey, there's no problem here." And the other guy said, "Man, I can't believe what you've done." And you can look at your own life, and I feel like you can see how that happens so easily. It's a slippery slope when people don't communicate. Because when you don't communicate, you let your mind run the show, and your mind can make up anything. Have you seen movies and TV shows? Your mind is crazy. So why would you ever want to believe something bad that your mind stirs up, right? And in that case, they were just judging based off the looks of the other and the things that they've done, and they let their mind run, and they began believing those bad thoughts. So I really appreciate that lesson because sometimes I'll look at people and I'll see like, "Hey, why are they looking that certain way when you talk to them, or how their demeanor is?" And before you may get defensive and say, "Hey, this person has a problem with me," and that can easily escalate, right? But think of a new approach. Why are they acting like that, or why are they responding like that? Maybe something's going on in their life. Maybe they're just spacing out. Maybe they just have that resting look on their face. But the point I'm trying to make is you never know until you ask that why. If you're just looking at the what, if you're just looking at their expression or their way they respond, then you're just letting your mind run the show of how you're going to respond to them. And that's why I think it's such a trap. And there's been so many times where people have talked to me about a situation and they go, "Man, I said this and the person was so mad and I just don't get why they acted like that." And something along those lines. And I'll always respond with, "How do you know they were mad at you?" And they'll always say, well, I just know. I could just tell the way they said it. And maybe they responded okay. Something neutral. Let's say they just responded a neutral statement like, "Okay." And they'll counter that with, "Well, it's the way they said it." So it's a never ending trap of the what's when you see what they're doing, like their facial expressions, their way, their tone. Thomas Jefferson says facts are stubborn things. And I live by that because you never know what's a fact until you ask the person who did it. Because even if they had a facial expression that was angry, maybe you're not the cause. Or if they were sad or happy, maybe they're not laughing at you. You never know what the truth is until you ask that person. You can only make assumptions. And to make a bad assumption that's going to put negative thoughts in your head, that's never the case. If you want to, I'm not saying to be delusional, but if you want to think happy thoughts, if you want to say, "Hey, that person was real happy when I was talking to him," to me, that's way better than thinking, "Hey, that person was mad the whole time I was talking to them. Because either way, none of them are true until you figure it out from the person. But to sit and have these negative connotations of people, that's that's to me a big problem with the world and how people interact with each other. That's why they say like the dog eat dog world. It seems like everyone's out to get each other, and sometimes it's a chain reaction where you think that dog bit you on the rear end when in reality they never did, but you're already going back to get them because you're basing your actions off of lies that your mind's told yourself. Um, and as far as the suit wearing goes, I mean, I throw a suit on because I know it was just an example the guy gave, but I figure this would be a good point to tie in with the importance of looking at whys. But just look at people you see in nice cars or suits. You know, it's so easy to fall trap to you see someone in a suit or driving a nice car or a house that you get these instilled thoughts in your head of how they act or what type of person they are or how much money they have. But the truth is, you don't know. Once again, like the other examples, you don't know until they tell you what that truth is. If you think all rich people are snobs and the person gets out of their fancy car and they say, "Hello, sir, how's your day today? I hope you have a great new year." Well, isn't that showing, if you have to base it off actions, that they're a good person, right? That's the point I'm saying. I mean, hopefully we all know this, but you can't base it off of appearances or what you think. You gotta base it off what you know. Because if you base it off what you think and your brain's not all there, well, you're gonna be pretty dang wrong about the world. And like I said, my page is all about growth. And when I saw comments saying that you're going to become known as a suit wearer for wearing a suit, I know that was just an example, it wasn't based off me, but just that example alone shows a closed mindset of why would someone wearing a suit all the time become known as a suit wearer? I get how it works. Literally, I get how it works psychologically. They're going to become accustomed, people are going to be accustomed to seeing them in a suit. I fully understand that. But what I'm saying is, if you want to get to the next level, we should be past, you should try and grow out of that because you'll see how it affects your whole life. And wherever you go around, how you base all these assumptions off people. And I understand how you need to predict things about people. But what I'm saying is, you never should let that hold you back. And with this example, I felt like it was holding this person back because I had made a point and they said my point was wrong, which is fine. Like, you can disagree with people, but when you're creatively thinking and giving lessons off of an idea, productivity can never be wrong, right? So to say LOL or to laugh and say that someone was wrong, that they missed the point entirely or whatever the comment said, and then to proceed to give another example, uh, that was just, that was good, you know. It's not growth. And I just really wanted to tie this in because the whole reason that I wanted to do this is to help other people. I'm going to help myself no matter what. It takes a lot more work and time to help other people, but I care about other people and helping them grow because I wish people would help me more. And I really enjoy when someone gives me a lesson or I hear it from someone. So I want to take the time to make sure I'm sharing those ideas I've learned. So I know I keep saying it, but I wanted to drive that home, that all of my videos are to help people grow. And I'm not doing a book report or any video I do. I'm going to spin it in my own way to get the message across that I want to get across to you. There's certain messages before I start that I go, okay, I want to make sure I get this across. And hopefully I do it pretty well to get you thinking. But I enjoy every comment I get. I don't get a lot. But when I saw that kind of closed mindset, it was a more literal mindset, which isn't bad. It's not wrong. Once again, to get to that next level, to continue to grow, you need to at least be open to new ideas. And even if I was wrong, because I would hope people share their ideas, their next level ideas, if mine aren't fully where they should be at. But in that case, if someone's not where they need to be at, ask them why they were taking the approach they did. So if you're not sure where they're getting at, maybe ask them why they're thinking it that certain way. Because looking at that Henry Ford statement, if Henry Ford would have brought up that idea, how many people would have shut it down? If he started talking about constructing this machine that was made of metals and had gas, would they have just shut it down? Or would they have said, why are you thinking about doing that instead of just breeding a bigger horse? So, and I'm pretty sure his response would have been sufficient, right? Because it's going to go a lot faster and have a lot more longevity. So starting with your why is a great book, and it really ties it in to other people. If you're trying to find your own why, read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. That's going to help you find yourself. And when you're ready to tie that into other people and become a leader, read Start with Your Why. So yeah, I'm wearing a suit. I'm going to keep wearing suits because I think it looks nice for a book report. I said book report, for a talk in a more professional setting. But just remember, just because you wear a suit, that doesn't mean anything. Because if I came out here cussing at you and calling you all punks, that would tell you what type of person I am. But if I come out here saying my only goal is to try and help you, then that should tell you how I am. So last time I'll say it, but I get what the comment was saying, that people generally will recognize you as a suit wearer. But what I'm saying is that's wrong. You should look at people's values to see what type of person they are. And that it really speaks volumes in today's world that so many people don't look at values. Just look at what people are doing around you. How many people are trying to work on their values? And that's why I want to help you guys build. I don't want you to look at someone and go, hey, they're really good in the gym. That's nice. That's such a bland statement. I want you to look at them and go, that person's really hard working. They really try and take care of themselves and help other people along the way. Look at any influencer you watch. Are you watching it because of how they look or dress or what type of car they drive? So many people do that nowadays. But what I'm trying to tell you is look at their values. Don't say they're a suit wearer. Like all the suit wearers or you watch in the world or who are around you, take that suit away and look to see who they really are. Because without this suit ain't nothing. I've never bought a new suit. I'll say it. I go to Goodwill. That suit's from Goodwill. These shoes, did you notice they weren't tied? Does that change anything? Does that change the message I've given? Whether you like the message or not, right? I've had the same belt for years. It's a Carhartt belt. It ain't no dress belt, but it's black. So these pants, those pants are the same pants I wore for every book talk video. So the point I'm making is there's a lot of people you probably look at as suit wearers out in the world and around you. What I'm saying, once again, is look behind the suit. What type of person are they really? I'm sure you hear all these motivational talkers about like especially OnlyFans now, they're like, cut them OnlyFans people out, cut your influencers out. Why are they saying that? Because who are they really? You put that that title to their name, but what about their values? And when you start prioritizing your values in life, that's when you really start to grow and look at those around you. So if you're not looking at your values, you're not looking at yourself. And if you're not looking at your what, or no, if you're looking at your what, you're not looking at your why. All right. And that's the importance, the why. Yeah. So start with your why by Simon Sinek.